So let's take a look at what our management options are. First off, we have the CLI and then we have the GUI. Sound familiar? It should. Uh, we can also use Prime Infrastructure to manage this. Here's what I want you to know. In the Cisco GUI, usually an AP is Cisco. Okay. Notice the capital letters there. You have to make sure that the capital letter is right. So username Cisco, password Cisco. Sometimes I've seen Cisco and password, but many of the newer ones are Cisco and Cisco. All right, and the other thing we can use mainly is going to be our GUI down here. Now the GUI is going to look very, very similar to what we've been working with already. It's going to look exactly like our web client browser, except what? Well, we don't have monitor. We don't have some of the other big features. We have home, we have network, we have association, we have wireless, security, services, management, software, and event log. That's it. We're not getting everything we got in our centralized wireless LAN controller environment. So let's take a closer look at the web GUI really quickly. And you can see here we have up at the top all our menu items just like we had in our original environment. Now, home allows us to give a summary status of what's going on. Our associations, how many clients we have, and where they are in our environment. We also have our network identity. What's our IP address? Our IPv6 address. What is the MAC address? We also have our network interfaces. What interfaces are available on your particular AP, if there are interfaces or not. That will be essential to finding out what's going on. And then event logs, what's going on in your environment at a given time. So lots going on here in the home setting. Now, like we said, this is very, very similar to our other environment, except we are focusing on what? A single AP, a single AP. That's all we're doing. That's the whole configuration ball game here. So when I looked at home, I was looking for everything that was connected to or associated with that AP. And the same thing goes on here. When we go into network, what we're seeing is our autonomous AP's name listed right here, along with all the different things in our environment. Our network map, our system settings right here, our interface status, our receives. You see our input rate, all these different metrics that are associated with what's going on in the AP. We also have several items we can manage on this side. So we can change up the menu a little bit with our network map and network interface. We also have an association menu. Now this association menu is great because it allows you to keep track with who is currently associated with this AP. This is one of those things where I like to keep track of this every now and then in small environments. I like to know who's connected. For some reason, small environments tend to be more vulnerable because they're AP, because they don't have those enterprise networks and enterprise radius around them. Those very small offices tend to be targets. So here is one of the first places I go. Who's associated with this AP? What kind of traffic are they generating? What's their IPv4 address? What's their device type? How can I look at this? There's IPv6. You can or you may or may not be using this. The MAC address associated with that. That's an important identifier. If I see a device on this AP and I think, is this the client type that I think it is? I can go out as an administrator, look for that device and compare the MAC address. The state, whether it's associated or not, the parent, and what VLAN is currently associated with that particular association. Next up, we have the security menu. Incredibly important. Just because we're a single AP doesn't mean we can go lax on the security. We can see we have our service set identifiers, or the SSIDs, listed with the name, the VLAN. Again, just because we're using a single AP in a very small office or something doesn't mean we run away from VLANs and data segmentation. You really want to stay with it. Here you can see band select. Now, band select is what? Beamforming. We can still do beamforming with a single AP. We just have to be aware, or it has to be supported, and we have to have multiple antennas. Do we have web authentication? This is disabled. This would be your guest access, remember. What radio are we using? This is an AC radio. You can see it right there. Our basic service set ID or guest mode is listed right here. Our open, do we have no authentication? Authentication, do we have shared? What do we have? Network EAP. What are we using in this environment? So lots of different options available to us from this security summary. Now, if we want to change any of these options, we have our options to the left-hand side that allow us to do intrusion detection, local radius authentication. So we can point this to a radius server on the outside. We can say, hey, AP, I want you to point over to this radius server for authentication using Leap or EAP or whatever we're using. We have our admin access. We have our encryption manager. So what kind of encryption are we going to put in place? And then our SSID manager, all sorts of different options for us at the security tab.